Okay, hi, thanks for joining us. I think at this point a lot of people are cost-based talked out, but I think we have a little bit different perspective on what we want to talk about today. I'm Cameron Ruth from SciVantage, and I'll introduce the panelists. We'll each have a little piece to talk about, and then we'll open it up some Q&A. Just going left to right here, or my left to right, Patrick Barthel, Daniel Mayo from KPMG, Steve Neese from Broadridge, and Marty Rosen from Jefferies. I'm just going to serve as a moderator here, but just a few things I wanted to talk about to kind of set the stage. This is actually our, for Maxit, our cost-basis product, our vision, but I have it here because I think generally all the panelists share kind of the same objective in terms of helping clients get through this whole, I think I have two mics on. Sorry about that. Getting through the whole basis reporting process as easily as possible, and no one will say it's going to be easy. But as I said, this is our vision for our cost basis product. The first one, I think everyone can agree with, that taxes are a certainty, so they shouldn't be a distraction. Unfortunately, this year there's really no way to avoid it being a distraction. But once we get through this next year, hopefully your systems are, and your whole internal process is smooth and not a continuous distraction. From a data standpoint, from a technology standpoint, our objective is to create fluid and actionable data, whether it's data, technology, advisory services. Again, you want to make this a valuable experience for your clients, not just the reporting piece that goes with it, but for the overall investment experience. And then the third one, of course, is a little bit more specific to us in terms of our tax management tools, but I think the general concept is, that I'd like to get across is, whether it's tax management tools or something else, to look beyond the basis reporting that we're faced with right now, and think of cost basis in the big picture. So rather than just do the minimum necessary to fulfill the basis reporting requirements, think how this impacts your firm, think about what needs to be done or the opportunity here to really make this a positive experience long term. These are what we're calling the 3 A's of technology for cost basis. The first one is pretty obvious. It's accuracy. Clearly we all want systems that are accurate, not just in terms of calculations, but all of the regs that need to be complied with. Automation kind of seems obvious, and that's what we do with technology, but there's no single definition of what a cost basis system is. And this is often overlooked because at the end of the day, most cost basis systems do the same thing. Wash sales, corporate actions, tax lot matching. The question is how much of that is automated and how much needs to be handled manually, because that's a huge cost for firms. So how well a system automates all of this whole process is very important. And the third one, availability, really is 2 things. So from a day-to-day standpoint, again, we're looking beyond the tax reporting, and we're saying if you're going to do all that, make this data available to your clients, make it available daily, make it available pre-market, whether you do tax management like we do or whether you just make it available for your customers to see. That's really important to your investors, so take full advantage of having that data. And the other piece of this availability is the tax reporting is just one element. It's a continued theme that we talk about. But if you look across your company, you're going to see other ways the cost basis could be used or is used. Everything from reporting and statements to tax management to rebalancing. We'll talk about that in a minute. These are just some of the things that we see where we see cost basis should be used if it's not already being used. Right now, everybody's focused on the red one at the top, the tax reporting, and for good reason. But if you go around, there are a few other things here that you ought to be thinking about, even if it's not something you can address today, because there's a lot of work to be done. The regs aren't finished yet, and when they are, hopefully it's June, July, there's going to be a lot of work to be done in the last part of the year, and you may not get to this stuff yet, but it's important to think about it now. Year-round reporting, again, this is the idea of making that data available to your clients, not just at year-end, but all throughout the year. And the next step with that data, of course, is tax management. There's a huge opportunity here, and firms that execute well on this are going to turn this into a valuable differentiator for the firm. And then rebalancing related to tax management. There are a lot of rebalancing products out there, but if you're not doing the tax management piece, picking the correct tax lots based on the liquidation recommendations coming out of rebalancing, then you're really missing a big opportunity. And finally, performance reporting, the after post-trade information. Something as simple as after-tax performance today probably doesn't use real cost basis, adjusted cost basis, and therefore you really got to question how accurate that data is. I think this is a big piece that's often overlooked in this process that we're going through right now, and that is how different areas within the firm, how they're impacted by this whole process, whether it's tax reporting or and the regulations, or just cost basis in general. And I think yesterday, Ellen Bacina had mentioned that from an investor perspective, as hard as a lot of these concepts are to grasp, for us, for professionals, your clients, the investors, really have that much more trouble understanding this. But I don't think you even have to go outside of your firm to find people who don't understand cost basis and its impact. And these are just some of the areas that really ought to be in this discussion internally as you're going through this regs. You have to think about through the whole regulatory process. How is cost basis and the changes, the fact that you're reporting to the IRS, the fact this information is now available, fully adjusted cost basis, difference between covered and uncovered, all of that is going to affect all of these areas and more. I mean, we probably could have added a lot more areas to this slide, but if you have these groups, and not everybody has branches, for instance, not everybody has advisors, but to the extent that you have these areas within your firm, if they're not in this discussion about cost basis, they should be, and they should be very soon, because it's going to impact all of these different areas. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Patrick Barthel. We'll go through the whole group, and then at the end we'll, actually I'm going to ask a couple questions in between, but at the end we'll throw it open for general questions.
Thanks, Cameron. Let me just introduce myself. I'm Patrick Barthel. I'm the Director of Cost Basis Product for Interactive Data. Formerly, we were Exitech. We were acquired about 3 years ago. I'm going to talk a little bit about data integrity to start off with. I'm familiar with this mainly because I was managing the actual data collection process for Interactive Data for a number of years. And I'm no longer in that role, but the regulation, while there are a lot of technical things and some of the things Cameron touched on, some that my colleagues on the panel will touch on, I think one of the big things that is sort of a